Today we're going to be talking about camera sales, or better yet, the lack thereof. So, to say the least, camera markets have been changing extremely dramatically over the last several years. Massive declines in individual camera sales, interchangeable lens sales. It has just been a complete disaster for the camera industry. Just in the last 7 years, the total number of cameras manufactured has dropped by over 100 million units. And there's also a very similar trend going on with lenses in that same period of time, down 12%. And even for you boys out there that think that buying a mirrorless camera is going to future-proof yourself, honestly, it's stayed pretty flat over the last several years. 2014 it was up to 13.5, 2015 it was 13, and last year it was only at 11. I've also received some pushback about my Canon 60 Mark II video. Honestly, I don't think that my prediction or my analysis has actually gone far enough. It's a new camera, but with 3-year-old tech, and it's going to be $2,000, released on July 27, 2017. And personally, while I'm not a Canon shooter, I'd think that buying the Canon 5D Mark III would honestly be a better investment. And currently, you can pick it up used with the 24 to 105mm for a measly $2,350. Effectively making it about $200 cheaper than the 60 Mark II with the same lens. So you might be thinking to yourself, exactly why do I care about this info? Well, first of all, we can't talk about that without talking about this. If you look at this chart, this is a distribution of camera system sales worldwide, both in 2012 and 2016. The only class of cameras that managed to decline in that amount of time were standalone cameras. Everything else, camera phones, tablets and PCs, automotive cameras, security and surveillance, and medical and scientific all went up. The only thing that was in serious decline were the types of cameras that we talk about every single day. So this problem isn't just a Canon problem. It is a us camera problem. It is an everyone's camera problem. It is DSLR, it is mirrorless, it is interchangeable, it is fixed lens high-end camera problem. It's everyone's issue. With over 2 billion people worldwide as of 2014 taking photos with their phones instead of any other type of camera, that's a big problem for the camera industry. The number one thing that people do with their smartphones is in fact take photographs. 92% do that among all other things that they do with their phones. And one of the major consideration points for buying a new phone is the quality of the camera. More and more people are prioritizing the quality of the lens and the system of the camera when buying a smartphone. And with cameras on phones getting better and better all the time, it's making it twice as hard for the camera industry to stay afloat. So it makes me wonder, at least, if camera companies are actually saying this in the boardrooms. And to a certain extent, if I was working for these companies, I think that I would feel the exact same way. I would be like, if we're not going to innovate, why don't we just roll over and die already? And I think that it's an extremely sad state of affairs when you have all of this money, all of these resources, and you don't take the time to create anything new. You don't take the time to innovate or push the market forward. You're letting cell phone companies do it. But alas, it's not all bad news. Camera sales are actually picking up just a bit. Not by much, granted, but a little bit. And personally, I think that's at least a little bit encouraging. But when you actually take a look at the data, you can actually see that the sales numbers are basically flat in January and February, the same as we were in 2015, and only marginally better than it was in 2015 for the month of March. And personally, I think it's reckless and irresponsible for people to say, we're finally out of the slump, no need to fear, because there's something going on. And I think I just might have a theory. But first, my general thoughts. Number one, there will always be interchangeable lens cameras. I don't think that they're going anywhere. Number two, cell phones are not taking over. We don't have to worry. Number three, pro work is not threatened whatsoever. No one doing high-end professional work is ever going to do that stuff with a cell phone camera. I mean, they might, but... Number four, casual use is in danger. The average Joe is not going to be able to find nearly as many options in the coming years as they used to. And number five, innovation in the camera industry is severely lacking. When you have companies huge companies like Canon repackaging 3-year-old tech and trying to pawn it off as something wow and amazing, that's just lazy. So my theory is that YouTube is driving the numbers. YouTube generally has over 1 billion users. That is 1/3 of the total internet user population. But it doesn't stop there. The number of YouTube users in the United States from 2014 projected up to 2019 is steadily going to grow. More and more people are going to be using the platform. More and more people are going to be creating their own content. Independent media is growing by leaps and bounds while the old dinosaur media is slowly but surely waning off. And that means that more and more people are eventually going to want to improve the production quality and level of their content. And as far as I'm concerned, people can argue with me all day long, but the numbers do not lie. Just looking at this chart, smartphones are beginning to murder the traditional camera market. It peaked around 2010 with 121.5 million units shipped, all the way down to 13 million total units in 2016. If that is not a scary statistic, I don't know what is. But I'm not necessarily scared that cell phones are ever going to deliver the 1-2 punch to traditional DSLRs, mirrorless, or interchangeable lens cameras in general. What I'm most afraid of is an entire generation of millennials who have been raised on iPhone, cell phone, smartphone content, and they've always thought, well, good enough. And I think that that should worry everyone, because what these companies are going to start doing is investing more and more dollars into smaller sensors and smaller camera tech. They're going to take away a lot of those investment dollars from the traditional markets and begin to focus more heavily on easily consumable, easily portable, and easily usable types of cameras. And while I think that that is perfect business sense, it does leave a lot to be desired when you're a creative person. And while I'm never going to be against any camera company, what I am against is bad camera company practices. While I think that it was probably a really smart financial move for Canon to just basically repackage old tech into a new camera and sell it at a premium, that's just not what we need right now. So what do you guys think? Is all of this just overblown, or am I spot on? Leave your comments down in the comment section below, and if you're brand new here, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'm your host, Mark Puckett, and I'll see you guys again on the next one.